I got into every OT school that I applied to, and now I'm going to share my wisdom with you. And we're talking before you even sign up for OTCAS and start your application. What do you need to do before applying? If you're already in the application process and are maybe considering interviews, or even if you're wondering if OT school is the right path for you, I'd recommend checking out some of my other videos after watching this one. I'm currently a third year Doctor of Occupational Therapy student, which means that I'll be done in a couple months, which is very exciting. And I help interview students for my school, and I was an assistant admissions counselor for my first 4 semesters of grad school, so I have a bit of insight to this topic as well. OT school is not impossible to get into, but let's start with the easiest and most obvious topic. The first thing that's going to pop up in your application, and that's your grades. Personally, I had 3.8 or 3.9 from undergrad, but I have peers as well as seen applicants get accepted with much lower GPAs. What OT schools are looking for from your GPA is that you have the ability to be successful in school. If you currently struggle with classes, one thing that you can do is show improvement. Show that you have learned how to be successful in graduate school. You technically don't need a bachelor's, but you will be a much more competitive applicant if you have one, because they're able to see that you can succeed academically at a higher level. So with that, if your GPA isn't currently where you'd want it to be, work hard to bring your grades up so that there's an upward trend on your transcript. And this will be helpful because you'll learn how to be successful academically, which will set you up for success in grad school. If you have a difficult life circumstance that happened, let's say a parent passed away, or your school closed, or you had to transfer and that affected how you performed, many schools will give you the option to explain your transcript if you feel that you need to. So work hard to get good grades so that you can prove that you can be successful in graduate school. And if you aren't currently doing that, show an upward trend by graduation and explain that you maybe have a rough time starting off college. It was your first time being independent, but you figured it out, because that shows a lot more than, hey, I've always been good at this. Another thing that you should consider early so that you're not scrambling to get them done is shadowing. Many schools will require that you have shadowing hours, and this is because they don't want to accept a student that maybe doesn't fully know what occupational therapy is, so they want to make sure that you have experience in the field, even if it's just watching the field happen. If you have family members that are occupational therapists, use that to your advantage. But if you don't know anyone in the OT field, I would start by reaching out to outpatient clinics that have occupational therapists employed to see if they have any shadowing programs. Some hospitals also have these programs. The more settings you can get, the better, both because you'll figure out if you actually like OT and if it's worth 2 to 3 years of your life, and also because it'll look better on your application. If you know that you're interested in a few particular schools, see if they have a minimum requirement for shadowing hours. I was applying during COVID, so many of the shadowing requirements were waived, and I don't have personal experience with hitting a number of hours. If you're exploring OT as a field and know that you want to go into rehab or anything in particular, work experience as a rehab aide is not the worst route to go down. For your application and eventually when you make it to the interview processes, having work experience in general is great because it teaches you many life lessons that you simply will not learn if you have not been employed by anyone ever. But if you can get work experience directly related to the field of occupational therapy or rehab in general, that would just make your application a little bit stronger. If you're just interested in healthcare, maybe try being a CNA. And just to harp on that, work experience makes your application stronger, both because it shows that you can handle being employed, and also because oftentimes it gives you many forms of leadership and life experience. You learn how to manage coworkers and colleagues. You run into ethical dilemmas that you're not even realizing. Say, should you split the tip jar evenly? And you just learn how to act in a professional manner, even if you're quite literally scooping ice cream, which is what I did for 3 years in undergrad. There may be student employment opportunities where you can work on your campus, and a lot of those jobs are very flexible with school. Life experiences in general will help bolster your application. You will have to write some sort of personal statement, and having a personality will help you write that. You get your personality from life experience. So don't just hunker down in the classroom to get straight A's and shadow and do nothing else. Join clubs that you're interested in, take up leadership positions. We'll touch on that a little bit more in a second. And don't be afraid to dabble and explore. There's a balance between trying out 1,000 things and not committing to anyone and saying, hey, I'm interested in crocheting. I'm going to join a crochet club and see how that goes. I liked playing soccer in high school, but I didn't pursue it at a collegiate level, but there's a club team, or I did pursue it at a collegiate level, and now I can talk about that. Take a class that you're interested in, even if it has nothing to do with your major, as long as you can fit it into the schedule. Maybe you take it as a pass-fail course so that you can treat it a little more lightly, but then you can talk about what you learn in that class in your interviews and personal statement as interests that you have interest and explore them. That just makes your whole application stronger because you're an actual person applying to a program, not just a robot that checked all the boxes. Let's go back to leadership experience. Having leadership experience is going to be crucial to standing out from other applicants. Maybe you can coach a youth sports team. I was an RA in our dorms. I have friends that took leadership positions in clubs that they were interested in, other friends that got manager positions at work. All of these things count as leadership experience. They give you something to talk about, and they also show that you know how to act as a leader. Even if all you did was learn lessons, which is what happened a lot as I was an RA. I was like, ooh, shouldn't have handled it that way, but I learned. And now as a professional in the field of occupational therapy, I can take those experiences and lead. It really all comes down to people skills. Many applications will also ask you about awards or times that you've stood out. So make an effort to stand out. It's not cheesy to try. And awards can be anything from scholarships that you earned to maybe you were awarded for a project in school, or I was awarded the best like organized event of the year as an RA. And I did include that on my application, and it gave me something to talk about how I took the interest of my residents and also current events and combined them to create a really awesome event for my residents. Another tip that I have for your application process is it's quality, not quantity. You don't want to apply to schools that you're not interested in, and they also don't want you to apply to them anyways. So start early in figuring out what you might want in an OT program, and maybe you learn this from your shadowing experiences. I think it's really helpful to talk to who you're shadowing about what they liked and didn't like about OT school if they're close enough to remember. OT school has likely changed. I would say someone that's graduated in the last 10 years is a good resource. And that way on your application, you can also talk about why you want to go to the school that you're applying to specifically rather than having general applications. It is very obvious when a student takes one application and applies it to multiple schools. You might be interested in a school based on geography, and that's okay. I chose my school because I wanted to continue living in Colorado because I had my support system here, as well as the things that I was interested outside of academia that I knew that I would need to participate in order to be successful in school so that I could have some balance. Schools want to see that you know how to take care of yourself, so they care about why you're choosing their school in particular. So do a little research on your schools so that you're only applying to schools that you're genuinely interested in attending. And it's okay to have a safety net. It's okay to have 10 safety nets, but you want to put your best foot forward, and one way to not put your best foot forward is knowing nothing about the program, and it shows in your application. In summation, in order to have a strong application for OT school, you want to show that you are a strong candidate academically, in a leadership capacity, and that you know what occupational therapy is, and also that you're a person that will get along with other people. Because at the end of the day, healthcare in general is a people-facing field, and the best healthcare practitioners are the ones that can connect with their clients, and you do that by having life experiences as well as professionalism. If you can show that you have the potential to have both of these things, you'll do great. And if you're watching this video, you're already off to the right start because you're already looking into how to put your best foot forward. If you have more curiosities about the pre-OT process, check out these videos. Check out this video next. And don't forget to subscribe because I show my life as an OT student and it might be helpful to you.